President. When last we met the Senate suspended at the point that we were then at in the agenda, which is resolutions, having passed the last extension. That was some 30 days ago. And what we are now begging leave to move that the Senate goes back on the agenda to the point in the agenda that is entitled Messages from the House of Assembly, so that we might receive a message from the House, if I may have the unanimous consent of the Senate. Much obliged to the leader opposite.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin with messages from the House of Assembly.
Message from the House of Assembly.
Bahamas number 50, message to the Honorable the President and Honorable members of the Senate from the Speaker and representatives of the Honorable House of Assembly. The House of Assembly acquaints the Honorable the Senate that they have agreed to the following resolution and desire the consent of that Honorable Chamber, namely, resolved that this House, A, approves the continuance of the proclamation made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. B, affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Regulations 2020 made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. C, affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Order 2020 made on the 23rd day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. D, affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Special Provisions Order 2020 made on the 30th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. House of Assembly, Nassau, 27th April, Hudson Retreat, Speaker.
May the documents be brought up. Laying of documents by ministers.
Madam President, I beg leave to lay the following documents on the table of the Honourable Senate. I propose to read them all off, continue with the signing protocols, and then I would lay them over in a batch. Thank you, Madam Chair. I beg leave, Madam President, to lay on the table of the House the Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Amendment No. 7 Order 2020, the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Lockdown Order No. 2 2020, the Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Amendment No. 8 Order 2020, Emergency Powers Lockdown No. 3 Order 2020, Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Amendment No. 9 Order 2020, Emergency Powers COVID-19 Lockdown No. 3 Amendment Order 2020, Emergency Powers Special Provisions Amendment Order 2020, Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Amendment No. 10 Order 2020, and the following regulations: Emergency Powers COVID-19 Amendment No. 4 Regulations 2020, the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Amendment No. 5 Regulations 2020, the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Amendment No. 6 Regulations 2020, as well as the following rules, which will take effect as of now, to do with the Investment Funds Act. The Investment Funds Fee Rules 2020, the Investment Funds Prescribed Jurisdictions Rules 2020. And the following directions: the Bahamas Registered Stock Directions 2020, Bahamas Registered Stock number 2, 2023, 2025, 2027, 2030, 2040, and 2050. These are, if I may, just for the edification of the Birmingham people. As we all know, the economy slows down. A lot of public revenue has been lost due to the ending of substantial economic activity and the closure of significant sectors of the economy utterly beyond our control, such as the tourism sector, and the loss of not only the VAT that would represent room nights and room revenue, but also of hundreds of millions of dollars in departure taxes. So the government is constrained to borrow, and these bonds would represent the initial borrowing within the cap set in the last budget and in the supplementary budget that we debated in February. Within the cap, we're still about $40 million underneath the absolute limit. And so these represent Bahamian dollar borrowings of roughly about 130 or so million. I think it's about 141 million actually. That has been made in the domestic market through a consortium of Bahamian financial institutions and banks. Thank you, Madam President.
May the documents be brought up. May the documents please lie on the table. We will do them collectively, so it will take a minute.
I just make it clear I wouldn't got these as we started. If it had been given to me earlier, I would have been able to. But the tradition is sort of you get it as you start.
May the documents be brought up.
There you go.
The documents do lie on the table.
You could bring it back. I want to review them.
Senators, I beg leave from you, please, to, instead of going directly to where we should start at resolutions, I would simply like to use this opportunity to make a short communication, because I think it is important as the public views us in this place that they appreciate why we may seem to have less senators than we normally do. And so I share with you and the public that several of our members are absent from our proceedings today. And those include Minister James Kwesi Thompson and Senator Jasmine Darius from Grand Bahama. And we know that they're absent because there is no way for them to get to New Providence. And the Senator Clay Sweeting of Spanish Wells, and that also applies to him because based on their residence, the restrictions that we are following under COVID-19, these members are unable to be with us. We do have other members who are absent, and but because of pre-existing health challenges, which would make it inappropriate for these colleagues to be here, they are also absent. And so it's important that we make all of us and the public aware that they are not here simply because they don't want to be, but because there are circumstances which make it impossible. Okay? So, we will go to where we suspended at our last meeting on the 6th of April to resolutions. The chair recognizes the Attorney General.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I need to seek the unanimous consent of my learned friend and leader opposite for the tabling and debate of the extension resolution that was passed in the other place moments ago, if I may obtain that consent, all in one day to within 24 hours.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam President. There's no objection from this side.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you, Madam President, and I take this opportunity to thank the leader opposite for his kind accommodation of the government in the overall national interest of the Bahamas. That we should be able to debate, have a discussion, and hopefully at the end of the day to pass this resolution to further extend the 24-hour curfew period by a further 30 days. Madam President, if I may say, I think that we should first of all pay homage, express our profound gratitude to those doctors, nurses, allied health professionals who are like Moses today and every day and every night, all day and all night, standing in the gap for we in the wider civil society. I do not think we often stop long enough to really think what they must be going through. To every day have to suit up, to constantly have to be on your guard for the slightest chink that may appear in your armor, not knowing from one day to the next whether you have made some mistakes such as would not only imperil you, but your entire family with whom you come into contact with necessarily. I want to say thank you to each and every one of them. The present statistics of the outbreak which occurred in our medical health facilities shows not only in its pure sense the devastation it can wreak within one profession, the medical profession. But one breach has led to nearly just over 200 medical professionals being sidelined and placed into voluntary quarantine. Imagine that running rampant in our society. If one mistake, if you will, not really a mistake, but let me explain. One of the first things that Dr. Dahl Regis said to me, sort of off the radar, just having a discussion about the nature of this virus, the nature of the challenge it presents to the world and particularly to the Bahamas. And the one thing she said is, it moves quickly, which I thought was an interesting way of putting it. I think at that time she meant that it transmits very, very easily. But it moves in another way. It moves as scientific observation and reports are being generated on a daily basis. It moves. It moves because the nature of the beast changes almost on a daily basis. So if we go back to the very beginning in early January, they didn't know whether there was human-to-human transmission, or at least the Chinese claimed they didn't know. God bless them. I don't believe that they didn't know, but I don't think that they thought it politic to let the whole thing out, the whole truth out. But who am I to say? We know that the rural health representatives were there, and they did not get a straight answer. So it is what it is. Then we found out, confirmed, human to human. Then we found out, well, it's like a flu. This is what the word was. It's a flu which uniquely focuses, or it gives you the usual flu symptoms for a day or so, and then it jumps into the lungs. Then we started to hear, some people are experiencing sensory deprivation as a symptom. They lose the sense of smell, or they lose the sense of taste, or both. Okay? And then we heard, actually, before we heard about sensory deprivation, we heard that it may have some function attacking the gastronic system, your digestive system. So that being something that came in through the surfaces of the face, the eyes, the nostrils, the mouth, going to the throat, into the lungs, it could also go further. So the old idea that, well, if you ate the virus or your stomach acids would kill it, we're not so sure, because diarrhea, chronic diarrhea, was starting to be seen as one of the indicators of COVID infection. No, I'm just saying I read a lot. The point I'm making is it changed. It moved. Things that we did not know were symptoms suddenly became symptoms. Were shown to be symptoms. And, I have the blessing to have, and we have the blessing to have as our president, one of the leading physicians in the Bahamas. And I know if I say one word wrong, she will correct me. I'm just saying how I, as a layman, but being someone who believed that if I could find any scrap of news, I was going to read it in full and try and understand it, because I could see, we're tall and short could see, that this was going to reach the Bahamas. As soon as they start talking about rapid transmission, as soon as you see they go from one case, then 15, and then they start talking about exponential growth, it was bound to reach the Bahamas. So me, as someone involved in public, I made it my point to read every scrap of news I could. But all I'm saying is that things changed. And it was only after the situation occurred in the hospital, well, the day or so afterwards, I saw some scientific report saying that brain seizures are symptom, but it goes and attacks the brain in some instances. And that has all kinds of consequences. I mean, that has all kinds of consequences because, I hear people saying it's a flu virus, and I always say to them, it's not a flu virus. It is a viral pathogen. It's a killer, dressed up like a flu virus. But it ain't no flu virus because it attacks everything. And the latest thing is it's up in the bloodstream. It goes after anywhere it can replicate itself. So it's not like a flu that is stuck in your lungs, in your nose, in your sinuses. May give you little bronchial symptoms, if it gets really bad. And with a lot of people, it has a quite high, the ordinary seasonal flu can kill people. Of course it can. It's just this thing is out of the ordinary. And I don't know where it's going to lead. What I'm trying to say is that nobody should blame our health professionals for what occurred. What occurred is simply something that based upon the state of knowledge at one day, it's not the same as the state of knowledge 2 days later or 3 days later. And so something that would seem totally normal, treatable, may in fact be something else. I think that if we look at it this way, that we really are dealing with something entirely unknown, and every day is a new day for another insight, we can accept that is the reality that we face. And so this is not a time for anybody to be pointing fingers. This is the reality we all face. We face a dangerous and unknown enemy. that constantly changes, that has methods. It latches on, attacks areas that were inconceivable. It's inconceivable. But there you have it. And now we have this other problem of not just asymptomatic carriers, but long-term asymptomatic carriers. We don't know how long the asymptomatic can be shedding viruses. You see, if you don't have symptoms, does that mean that your body isn't necessarily developing antibodies? There's just something else in you that keeps this thing at a certain level. So how long? We don't know. Medical science has not given us that answer. And so we hear the cries. I hear the members opposite in the other place. Oh, test, test, test. And they know what the reality is. There are no tests. There's only one test that can tell you on any given day whether you have it or you don't. All of these what do you call looking for antibodies tests, rapid tests, they are all of dubious quality. And even though the federal drug CDC in America and the FDA has approved them, just so let everybody use them, whatever, the fact is that unless they are what they call validated as being accurate, as the Minister of Health, our Minister of Health said, it's as good as flipping a coin. And said these tests, these so-called rapid tests, yes, at the present state of technology, that is the reality. That is the reality. Until they are validated, you may as well flip a coin. Because they have all kinds of things proposing and calling themselves tests throughout the world being sold to people of doubtful validity, because they have to be validated by authoritative testing. And so that is the situation, and it's very politic for some to say, oh, we all need to test everybody. There's no capacity. And as the minister said today in the other place, the truly significant test is, I can't remember what that is, MPPR, whatever. I'm a wonderful citizen. I start up too many letters together and don't make a word. I can't remember them. So some MPP or whatever, right? But that's the one we have to put the swabs in. The problem is, there's a shortage of swabs worldwide. And then once you have the swab and you put it in the test tube, you send it to the lab, and we have a national reference lab that is accredited worldwide. And so we know we can accept its testing standards and the way in which they operate that lab as being world standard. The problem is, you have something called a cartridge you have to put in the machine that contains some reagents. I don't know what these big words mean, but I guess they're the things that pick up whether or not, when they've broken down the samples, whether or not the RNA, which is a variant of the DNA structure of this thing, match up and whether there's COVID in the linings of the person who's being tested, the nasal linings, which would show whether COVID is present. I'm just like every other day, who thinks about it. I'm a frightened Bahamian because I know that what we face is something only the Lord could help us with right now, and good science. I put my faith in the Lord. I put my faith in the Lord. But I do worry about it because the Lord did say, watch and pray, not just pray. I'm watching, even as I pray. And there is that school of thought. But that school of thought, that you can't do nothing about it, the logical thing is that if you can't do nothing about it, don't do nothing about it. And the logical consequence of that is that far too many persons' lives will be unnecessarily and brutally cut short. We do what we have to do because we're trying to save lives. That is what these lockdowns, that is what the curfew is all about. It is to inculcate and teach people who do not ordinarily or instinctively act for their self-protection unless someone points a gun or a knife at them, to understand that that which is invisible can do as much or more harm to you as a gun or a knife. And the same way, if someone put a knife in your face or a gun in your face, you take steps to protect yourself. This virus requires the same response. And that is all these lockdowns and orders are all geared to do, is to assist the Bahamian people in understanding the nature of the threat we face and the need for each of us to do the best we can individually to protect ourselves and to protect our children and our families and the elderly. And so that is what these all are. And, you know, this is entirely uncharted territory. I'm sure that when we have finished and we have come through this COVID crisis, right, we will be able to produce a nice handbook that will adequately summarize the balancing act between prophylactic closure of everything and the necessary balance that sometimes has to be struck in a reasonable society between, okay, but you have to have essential services open. But if essential services have to be open, they can't operate unless support services necessary to support the actions of the essential services are also open. And so what we have in a lot of these orders are when one thing is done, it leads to pressure for another thing to be done. And so there's been a series of tightening up, loosening for special areas, specified support areas. And at the end of the day, you know, having gone through this, we will be able to come up with a master plan of the perfect antiviral response for future governments. Because no, it has not been perfect. It has been trial and error, but this is entirely new territory. Not only for the Bahamas, for the world. And the world is going through it. Ain't no mea culpa here. No, this is our work. This is what we do to strike the right balance that provides the optimal or best results for the Bahamian people without totally strangling the economy, but putting in the safeguards necessary to prevent the quest for economic development becoming a noose around the broader society's neck. It is a balance to be struck, I always say. So at the end of this, we're going to have the perfect balance in a book we could publish for the guidance of future generations should they ever run into this problem again and ever have to engage in the sorts of balancing act and compromises that are necessary in a civil and civilized society. With those notes, yes, the orders are necessary. I'm talking about what we have now, and what we have now effectively strike a balance. But the balance will change, as has been foreshadowed. The Prime Minister has indicated certain restructuring process. Now, what is not stated in the document itself, but which is a cardinal principle that underlines everything the Prime Minister as competent authority does. And he reaffirmed that to me this afternoon as we were discussing the roadmap that has been laid out for reopening the economy. That every step will be governed by, at the end of the day, the advice of the medical practitioners. So, yes, we've appointed this committee, such as it is, and I'm sure that the committee will co-opt some persons, one of whom should be, I think, a member of the medical side of the COVID-19 response committee. Someone, so there's a link between what is largely right now a private sector group to govern the issue of opening, but their advice must be seasoned by informed medical opinion. So hopefully the group will see fit to co-opt from the medical community some persons to assist them at that level in their deliberations. They will advise that the competent authority doesn't have to take the advice of any body or entity under the constitutional framework in which the authority acts. And the competent authority has indicated that notwithstanding what any one committee says, he will look to the medical professionals first for their views on it and seek to strike the right balance, if you will, if a balance can be struck. And so, at the end of the day, I think that Bahamian people, this is the last thing, can take some comfort that it is the consensus of the medical community that the curfews and the lockdowns have had a positive effect, have greatly reduced community spread throughout the island of Grand Bahama and the island of New Providence, and Imperator is the word, Imperator, if you will, and these onerous, bothersome, tiresome lockdowns and curfews that have everybody so frustrated are saving lives. Yes, they're saving lives, and it's been documented in terms of the realistic projections of what the rate of infection was prior to the lockdowns and where that projected curve would take us and where it has gone subsequent to the lockdown. Yes, you're going to have spikes that will occur, but the essence of the regime is that it permits the medical professionals to have the freedom and the ability to contain, to isolate and contain any clusters or spikes that will break out. So we see that there's a particular one in New Providence, in terms of the last 11 or so confirmed cases, that is being contained. It is containable because of the regime that is in place. We are giving the medical community the weapons needed to defend not only themselves, but to defend us. And lastly, I hear the comment from my friend on the opposite side about you are my friend. We don't name names. I say the honorable senator who is the leader of opposition business in the House, Senator Mitchell. Speaking about Minis Imperator or Minis Rex. I don't know when you want to insult someone why you got to use Latin words to do it, you know. You see what I mean? Yeah. But I keep reminding you, sir, that the essence of the constitutional balance struck is that he may be the king out there, but he got to come here and be accountable. The competent authority is accountable to Parliament, and Parliament it is that gives the appropriate oversight to everything done either by the competent authority or in the name of the competent authority. That is the very fine constitutional balance struck. And the critical way in which Parliament exercises that authority is to say, we're going to stop it now, or we're going to allow you to go on for another day, or another 30 days, or whatever. Parliament, that's the primary area. The second area where Parliament exercises control is through scrutiny. On that note, acknowledging the supremacy of Parliament in all things, the true king, the true imperator, the true Rex of the Bahamas. It is not the Queen, it's Parliament, which is sovereign under the Constitution. So says the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. On that note, Madam President, I commend the resolution to members of this Honorable Senate. I trust that we will have the unanimous support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second? The chair recognizes Senator Henfield.
Good afternoon, Madam President, colleagues, Bahamas. I intend to be very brief today, yet intentional. There is no politics to my learned friend opposite, my mentor at one point. I want to say, before I go any further, though, Madam President, in response to the leaders of opposition, that there is no leader of opposition business in the Senate. There is no mea culpa here. None. This is an ever-changing crisis for this country, and I believe the administration is making every effort to address every issue that we face. I see the actions of the Prime Minister to save lives every day, in addition to saving livelihood. So there is no mea culpa. There's no acknowledgement of anything wrong or any wrongdoing. I see the government will have to change its position on things as we progress and we figure out what works best. I've had the opportunity to serve another capacity in which I'm engaging with regional counterparts every single day, and I see across this region, every country, every week, revisiting measures that's put in place. So there is no mea culpa here. The government here, as with the government in every other jurisdiction around the world, is dealing with something for the first time of such magnitude, and we're trying our best. The last time I spoke in this place, Madam President, was well over a month ago, and at that time I'd indicated that we are not only facing a health crisis, but that there was an economic crisis coming. So it's an honor and a pleasure to see a month on, the establishment of an economic recovery committee. And I would associate myself with the comments from the leader of government business when he spoke to perhaps that entity may consider the input from a medical practitioner, because you have to be realistic when these proposals or plans that you're making. And I would go on to add that I think there are some voices that are missing from that table, that decision-making table or recommendation table. And I would I wish there was somebody there from civil society. I wish to recommend, and I would say this, I wish to recommend and say that academia needs to be at that decision-making table. If we're going to discuss the economic recovery of this country, academia needs to be at the decision-making table, because how we educate our children, our people from this day on is crucial. So academia needs to be heard, whether it's UB and BTVI, but also I would recommend someone from the university, well, the Ministry of Education. But without any doubt, academia needs to be at that table. I've always been an advocate for the family islands. I see Senator Anna Lowell's here today. I do believe, and I've said on numerous occasions, that Nassau is not the Bahamas. Nassau is not the Bahamas. And I look at that committee in the composition, I see any number of persons from Nassau, and I do believe the family island needs to be heard more at the decision-making table. And finally, I would agitate for persons with disabilities and women. When you talk about economic recovery, the majority of the households in this country are headed by women. And I do believe we need to have, not give women, consult women, but, have women equally at the table to address issues for women. And if you're speaking of economic recovery, it is crucial that women have a say on how we come out of this. I move on, Madam President, as I indicated, I would be brief, though. And I commend the Prime Minister for having the audacity and the fortitude to extend the curfew until the end of May. I know there's a echo in society that we need a full lockdown. The weekends aren't working. I observe the lockdowns, and I'm enjoying this family time, cooking, cleaning, princess, getting my nails painted, etc. for my daughters. I'm enjoying it. And I no rush to go back to work. I stepped out of my yard yesterday to take the trash out, and then waking up outside of my yard on a Sunday, which is supposed to be full lockdown, the number of cars that I saw passing, I thought the lockdown was over, and that I checked my WhatsApp and see we're back open. But persons are throughout communities driving up and down and not observing the lockdown. And I wish to say at this point, though, even though I said that yesterday, I know for the larger part that many Bahamians across this country are doing their part to observe the lockdown. And I commend those of us and those of you that are doing your part. And I would urge those of you that are not taking this serious to please do. This is something that has killed thousands of people around the world every single week. And the quicker we can slow the spread,
and get this thing under control is the quicker we can get back to our ordinary lives. But it very well may be that this is the new normal for quite some time. I also commend the Prime Minister for having the audacity and fortitude to address the issue of renting. As an attorney, I have so many persons reaching out to me via social media or my cell phone asking, what can they do? The landlord is threatening to evict them, or the police is serving them notice, or etc. And I've said to them, which I'll say to the public, nobody can be forcefully evicted right now. Not because of COVID, Even without COVID, you could not be forcefully evicted. That would be an illegal eviction to force somebody out who is a tenant. All right? So let's not discuss it from a COVID perspective. Without COVID, you need a court order to evict someone forcefully. So if some of you are being faced with a landlord who is pressuring you for those funds, yes, the Prime Minister has taken a step to address that and bring some relief and clarity to your minds today, because it's very worrying for a mother or a father as to where his children will sleep tonight or tomorrow night. But I wish to say from a legal perspective, ignore that officer that may be coming to serve you a notice to vacate. Ignore that officer, because by law, unless there's a court order telling you to vacate, you don't need to move. I also commend the Prime Minister for having the audacity and fortitude to address the issue of insurance payments, because there's so many persons that were concerned about their insurance being paid, that are ill or where there could be life in respect to COVID killing so many persons. And I think the Prime Minister has done a remarkable job adding that sense of clarity to us as a people. In addition, for a few weeks now, a number of us have expressed our concern publicly and privately about Bahamians who were stuck abroad prior to the lockdown. And I think we have to commend the Prime Minister again and his government for taking the position to bring those persons home. I also expressed my support for the way that he's addressed the issues with the unemployed, the self-employed, and our health workers. Again, leadership is being displayed, but not just simply leadership for a nation, but concern for the least among us, the small man. So with those few words, Madam President, I fully support any resolution to further extend this lockdown. I commend the Prime Minister, I would commend the administration, but again, to the leader of the opposition, this is in the Senate, there is no mea culpa here. Every country around the world is dealing with something new, and every day or every week they realize there's a better way to fix something or to improve on keeping people safe, saving lives and saving livelihoods. I see us doing it locally. I see it being done regionally and internationally. And with those words, I support the resolution. Madam President, I second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Whereas, pursuant to Article 29(1) of the Constitution, the Governor General made a proclamation of emergency hereinafter the proclamation, dated the 17th day of March 2020, declaring that a state of public emergency exists in the Bahamas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this chamber approves the continuance of the proclamation made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the emergency powers COVID-19 regulations 2020 made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the emergency powers COVID-19 number 2 order 2020 made on the 23rd day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the emergency powers COVID-19 special provisions order 2020 made on the 30th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. As many. The chair recognizes Senator Dalrymple.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd first like to join the Honorable AG in commending all of our healthcare workers and frontline workers for a job well done, because while we're at home, secured in the safety of our residents, many of these individuals are on the front line doing the absolutely necessary work to protect lives, to protect our healthcare system, and reduce the incidence and the person-to-person spread of COVID-19. Madam President, in Romans chapter 8, verse 37, the Bible says, "In all things, we are more than conquerors through Christ who loves us." Today marks the 55th anniversary of Black Tuesday. And this scripture comes to mind as I reflected on the events that occurred in 1965, when the late Sir Lyndon Pindling of our party, the Progressive Liberal Party, threw the mace out of the window of the House of Assembly. This act of courage played a pivotal role in the struggle for equality and freedom for Bahamians of color. So today, as we continue the fight, this time against COVID-19, we do so knowing that Christ is on our side. And if he is on our side, the battle is already won. Madam President, in my last contribution on April the 5th, 2020, I sounded the alarm on behalf of cancer patients on Grand Bahama and the Family Islands who need immediate treatments. And there's no oncology services on those islands. I spoke at that time for their need for immediate assistance from the government to access these life-saving treatment modalities. As far as I am aware, the call has gone on deaf ears, and these immunocompromised patients are fighting for their lives in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic. While all airports remain closed, with no special emergency flight available for these patients to get to the capital. With the economic difficulties facing the sick and the elderly at this time, we recommend that either the government provide transportation for these patients to get to the capital, to get the necessary services, or allow the oncology team to fly to these patients on Grand Bahama and the Family Islands to receive treatment. Notwithstanding the strain of the healthcare system at this time and the challenges we face at the Rand Memorial Hospital, these patients still need immediate care. We cannot afford to lose any of them because of the failure to act or because of issues of logistics in our archipelago. Therefore, Madam President, once again, I am pleading on their behalf for the government to devise a workable plan that will allow these patients to receive the urgent care they so desperately need. Madam President, this afternoon, I thank God for another opportunity to stand in this honorable chamber to make my contribution to this resolution, which aims to extend the emergency orders for another 30 days. The last time we met in this honorable place, we on this side supported the extension for an additional 22 days that I believe expires today. On April the 5th, 2020, when the emergency order was extended, the country had recorded 28 positive COVID-19 cases. With the passing of that order, the country remained optimistic after the Ministry of Health indicated that they had an evidence-based plan to reduce the person-to-person transmission of COVID-19. We were told by representatives from the government that your plan was adequately funded and the manpower resources were in place to effectively reduce the transmission of COVID-19 as long as the public health measures could be enforced by the relevant authorities. Senator Enfield mentioned the fact that he was in his yard doing his necessary work and he saw the movement and wondered whether or not the authorities really had this thing under control. However, after almost 6 weeks of curfew and lockdowns, the flattening of the COVID-19 curve projected by the Ministry of Health has still not happened, and the person-to-person transmission for COVID-19 appear to be increasing at an exponential rate in New Providence and now Bimini. Today, some 22 days after the extension of the period of lockdown and curfews, the number of persons tested positive has almost tripled, bringing the total number of positive cases in the country as of yesterday to 80. We have read the reports of the flattening of the curves in other countries after just 14 days of curfew and lockdowns. But our experience in the Bahamas appeared to be a counter trend. And we on this side must ask the government why. Madam President, we submit that the current measures in place by the government and the Ministry of Health are not producing the desired results, and the government must make immediate adjustments to all of the public health protocols if they expect to see meaningful results in the fight against COVID-19.
Madam President, I really didn't want to interrupt you, but I believe that, Madam President, I have to interrupt a presentation that is based upon a narrative that the maker is well aware is, I won't say false, but very faulty.
What is wrong?
I said I won't say false, but I'll say it's very faulty. Because he is a medical practitioner, and he is aware of the fact, if I may correct something, an error that was made by this speaker. Either it was deliberate or it was made in ignorance, but it is an error.
What's the error?
The error is quite simply this, that if you take away a particular cluster that emerged because of erroneous information in that service, to use a broad term, the last 11 or more diagnosed cases are related to one outbreak. And had it not been for that, there has been no community-based spread, in Nassau, no community-based new infections from the time of the promulgation of his order, the first 30 days. It has increased because of a cluster that occurred in one undertaking. Unfortunately, the pathology of this disease will show that there are well likely to be areas where there are clusters of infection that only become known after the gestation period of roughly 14 days. We know that we have one area where there is a cluster which is not in New Providence or Grand Bahama. We know that the situation in Grand Bahama is well contained, and as far as the community is concerned in Nassau, well contained, except for one cluster in New Providence. That is not connected with the lockdown. It is not a part of the lockdown. It is something that arose because of peculiar circumstances. And what we are doing is ensuring that we are giving to the medical professionals in both of those areas where there are outbreaks or clusters the full strength and power to deal with them. Thank you.
Madam President, with all due respect to the AG, who has now become a statistician and an epidemiologist, and is now propagating his views that is non-medical, I beg to
propagating what are the facts that are known to the Bahamian people and the facts as related to the last COVID updates. There are two clusters that are problems.
Why? Allow me to speak. You've had your point, and your point is your point. Madam President, the disease itself is a viral disease. A virus is a non-living organism or piece of RNA or DNA tissue that needs a host to replicate itself. In the replication process, in order for it to propagate or to move through the community, it has to be via person-to-person spread. To date, the Ministry of Health has done limited testing throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The limited testing is directly related to the molecular PCR testing, which diagnosed the presence of the virus in the potential host.
One second. One second.
We know that 50 to 60% of the person-to-person spread within a community is asymptomatic carriers. To date, the Ministry of Health have been testing individuals who present either with mild or severe symptoms because of the limited amount of molecular PCR tests that are available. My point to the Honorable AJ is the fact that it is important to do more testing to truly understand what is happening in our community, and the tests should be diagnostic tests, as he indicated before. I say, based on scientific evidence, that to truly understand the person-to-person spread within our community and to find those asymptomatic individuals who may be positive and do not know is through testing. In every statistical model, in order to get a true understanding of what is really happening, you must have a proper sample size in your community. I say that the Ministry of Health, with all due respect to the task force, need to ramp up testing to truly understand what is happening in our community. So my statement that was said earlier was not untrue, and it was not trying to create an impression or false pretense that do not exist. My statement was merely based on facts, based on the epidemiology of the person-to-person spread and the models outlined by the task force headed by the Minister of Health, Adal Regis, reputable epidemiologists from PAHO and WHO. Madam President, we will be challenged to find one person in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas who would not want to see our country go back to the degree of some normalcy. We all long for the day when we'll be able to move about freely, return to our jobs and businesses, and go to the store as we like. So to achieve these freedoms, we understand that there will be a period of hardship while we attempt to contain and manage this virus in our community. But we must not squander these periods of lockdown. Time is not on our side. And the longer it takes for the government to reduce the person-to-person transmission of this deadly virus and flatten the curve, our people remain at risk, making it harder for us to climb out of this hole to restore our local economy. Since the expiration of the last 22-day extension of emergency orders, the government is now seeking a resolution for a further 30-day extension to the emergency orders without laying in Parliament revised COVID-19 plans for stopping the exponential spread, particularly in New Province. Given the absence of a real 30-day extension, the lack of results in flattening the curve after 22 days of extension of the emergency orders, and considering the unfortunate oversights by the Public Hospitals Authority and the Ministry of Health, This placed hundreds of healthcare workers at risk, along with the failure of the Ministry of Health to conduct immediate testings in Bimini after the unfortunate death of the late Miss Kimberly Johnson Roll. We cannot support the resolution for 30-day extension of the emergency order, and this is the reason why. In our view, 14-day extension would be more appropriate. So, to allow us the opportunity to review the government's progress made in achieving the reduction in positive cases in the country, and to discuss future actions that may be necessary to stop the spread of this virus. And the way how we do that is we observe what happened in 14 days. And then we come back to Parliament to discuss the Ministry of Health's programs and the government programs to see if they're really working. If they're working, we continue. If they're not working, they need to be tweaked and they need to be reinstated. Madam President, the government must first be honest. Honesty is the best policy with the Bahamian people. As to where we truly are in the fight of COVID-19 to reduce community spread, and secondly, they must become transparent. And in order to become transparent, the Ministry of Health must seek to work more with the general public for more education, for more understanding, so that people can comply better with the rules and regulations. We believe that this was not demonstrated effectively in the last 22 days of extension, because we have learned that many healthcare workers, and this is unfortunate because the word comes back to us, many healthcare workers and frontline workers do not have full access to personal protective equipment. They remain in the dark, and their advice to try to find out what is going on with their safety is not being fully articulated to the general public. Other than the pandemic, the periodic press conference by the Ministry of Health and the Prime Minister, the Bahamian people don't really know what's happening in our clinics. We don't know what's happening in our ports of entry. We do not know what is happening at our airports, and why certain sectors of the economy was open recently without epidemiological evidence to support. Where was the scientific basis for the opening of additional aspects of our economy when we were still in an exponential phase of the virus? As a healthcare professional and a business owner, I certainly understand the pressure and the need for the government to get other sectors of the economy up and running. But we firmly believe, and I support the AG when he articulated this view, that the safety of our people is paramount. That's priority. And we on this side cannot support the expansion of our economy or activities until we're convinced that Bahamians are protected and the government is able to control the person-to-person transmission of this deadly virus. Madam President, in making this recommendation to reduce the period of extension to 14 days, we on this side understand the potential risk of having face-to-face parliamentary meetings. But I must remind this government that parliaments around the world continue to meet in the midst of this global pandemic to deal with the people's business. After the next 14 days, the government will have a further opportunity to outline to this parliament the results of the effort. And we on this side will give them the opportunity to speak about their successes, We need to seek clarification on behalf of the Bahamian people regarding the results, and we can work together. If we need to extend, and the pandemic is not under control, we extend. But we are not prepared to give you 30 days while you make this up as you go. Come back to the Parliament in 2 weeks and tell us what you're doing. The opposition, the only time we know what the government is doing is when the Prime Minister have a press conference or the Minister of Health. That's not good enough. Come back to the Parliament and explain to the opposition what you're doing. And if you're doing great things, we will support you. If your measures are not working, we will let you know and make recommendations. It is up to you to accept them or reject them. Madam President, I saw earlier today where the Prime Minister released his government's traffic light plan to open the economy. It's a good thing. As a matter of fact, it's long overdue. But we are calling on the government to share its 30-day plan, and we are willing to support it if it makes sense. Madam President, the PLP, the opposition, reached out to the government on numerous occasions to ensure that we can have a bipartisan approach in the fight against this global pandemic. But today, as the important arm of the government, the opposition, we have been pushed aside. That's how we feel. For the periodic meetings with our leader and the Prime Minister, there's no member of the opposition who's ever briefed about anything that is happening with COVID-19 except for the press conference or the Prime Minister's press conference. That's not good enough. The official opposition is a part of the government, and we deserve the right to know exactly what's going on in order for us to make recommendations. This is truly sad because good ideas are not exclusively to one political organization. Countries around the world, Madam President, have demonstrated political maturity in the fight against COVID-19. Once again, we are saying to the government that we on this side stand ready to help. Use our resources, use our expertise. But while we wait, we will not be idle. I want to say that again. While we wait as the opposition, we will not be idle, but will continue to do our part as a political organization in this critical fight to save lives and to help to jumpstart our local economy. Madam President, after watching the crisis unfold at the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center that moved to the Princess Margaret Hospital, resulting in some 200 plus healthcare workers being placed in quarantine, the surge of cases in Bimini, and the exponential transmission of COVID-19 in New Providence, it is quite obvious that many of the public health care measures that are presently in place by the government, by the way of the existing urgency orders, is not producing desired results.
Madam President, I call upon the Senator. You see,
Relax.
I had reason, and I really didn't want to, don't wish to be doing
Don't tell me what to do.
Sir, yeah, let's not get personal across the table, please, colleagues.
You get I to do my job.
Senator.
You're a young man.
Madam President.
Young man. I apologize. So don't come at me.
This is not that other place. And I have asked that we refrain from calling each other names across the table, right? Yeah. A man in full greenness shouldn't call a young fella boy because he might answer him back. And yeah. So I mean, that's really a moment of levity because I think we need to, let's all breathe a bit.
I agree.
Yeah. No. Why? The reason I stood, Senator Dowell, is You said we want an explanation about what's happening at Sandlands, went to the hospital, what's happening with Bimini, and then you said, and about the uncontained spread of the contagion by way of community spread. Could you kindly justify that there's any uncontained community spread in New Providence outside of the facility? That's not, well, I think it was rather elegantly, although I disapproved of the use of the analogy in a letter that came out on the weekend that said there's a difference between community spread and institutional spread. Okay? And I found that to be a deplorable comparison in terms of what was being sought in that letter, and to say that. But there is a difference to be drawn, okay, between a cluster in an institution and community spread. So I call upon you, sir, to point to the facts and the figures that show unconstrained community spread outside of that institutional issue that we all know about and outside of Bimini. Where else is there unconstrained community spread? And if you cannot show me by documented facts and figures over the last 30 days where this uncontained community spread is, outside of that institution, outside of Bimini, I ask you to withdraw.
Listen to me very carefully. Listen to my words very carefully, Honorable AG, because you're misquoting me. You're misquoting me.
I'm not misquoting.
Let me repeat what I said so you could understand my words and know what they mean. I said that exponential rate of transmission of COVID-19 in New Providence. Exponential rate of transmission.
So I call upon you to show, by reference to the published data or any other data you may possess, please produce the evidence of exponential transmission outside of Bimini and the institution in question. Because no, it isn't. We have an issue that occurred in an institution, and we have an issue in Bimini. And they are not unconstrained.
Listen to me, Honorable AJ. It's quite obviously that me and you are not on the same wavelength. I did not say what you said. I simply said the surge of cases in Bimini and the exponential rate of transmission of COVID-19 in New Providence. There's no question that the last graphs produced by the Ministry of Health confirmed exponential spread on the island of New Providence.
I'm sorry, what they confirm and what was explained about the growth in the numbers in New Providence is that they are strictly limited to a particular cluster that occurred in one institution. That is what the data shows.
Listen to me very carefully.
The surge in cases in New Providence is strictly related to a particular incident in one institution in the Bahamas.
Madam President, could I continue? Because it's obviously me and the AG is different in what we're talking about. And his point is a valid point, but it's not the same point that I'm making. If he would really listen to what I'm saying, he would realize that I'm not saying what he's saying. But allow me to move on.
May I just speak, Senator?
Yes.
I think the confusion for me also is the term exponential spread. Maybe if you
I never said spread.
Exponential, what's the word you're using?
I said the exponential rate of transmission.
Okay.
No. Transmission of COVID. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying the surge of cases in Bimini and the exponential rate of transmission of COVID-19 in New Providence. I did not say the exponential rate was not associated with the cluster from the Ministry of Health.
Okay, so
I never said that.
You're confining
I don't have to
because
say that.
we know
because
that there are
we
community-based
understand the
instances
clusters.
and hospital-based.
We understand that, but it all is an element of transmission, whether it's at the hospital or whether it's in the community spread. I never said community spread. That's the point what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't want to belittle the point because it's a technical point.
About an institution
It's a
in New
technical point.
Providence.
And the AG is focusing on the technical point. The reality is, I am speaking specifically of what happened at the Princess Margaret Hospital that as a direct result of the case coming from Sandilands Rehabilitation.
Okay.
I have made it very clear that as a result of that incident, there is exponential growth. Increase. And that is a fact. There's no question that all of our healthcare workers and those on the front line are doing their part. And they should all be commended. But there's a need for nurses and doctors to be invited to the table when discussions are being made that will address the risks that they would be exposed to on a daily basis. We believe that there should be more participation from various aspects of healthcare workers when these protocols are being established by the Ministry of Health. There was another incident at the hospital where certain allied healthcare workers and janitorial staff were called in to do a specific job, and they were not briefed to understand what are their potential risks. They felt that they did not have the proper PPEs, and it created unnecessary unrest. It is important to ensure that we have more participation when the Ministry of Health are putting together these protocols that could possibly affect the daily risk of workers in the hospital. Madam President, the PLP task force continues to make recommendations on the way we can achieve some degree of success in this fight. As the government pressed forward, during the further extension of the emergency orders, it is important for us, not knowing what the government 30-day plan is for the emergency orders, for us to make some recommendations. Firstly, it is our view that there's a need for greater coordination between the government ministries. We see where a lot of ministries are operating in silos. It's time for everyone to come together so we can do a more effective job in the fight against this virus. The team at the Ministry of Health, which I am sure is working very diligently, professionals. But I believe, and we believe from our task force, that the team is too small to adequately address and manage the magnitude of this COVID-19 response. Time is not on our side. And we must move with haste to gather information and act quickly and efficiently to achieve meaningful results. What I'm saying is that the Ministry of Health is comprised, their task force is comprised with a group of very competent and efficient individuals. They have support from consultants, from PAHO and WHO. But the damaging effect for the delays in opening the economy is far greater than the resources that needs to be put in the hand of these healthcare professionals to beef up their teams so that they can operate more effectively and begin to activate greater and more aggressive protocols throughout the country. Madam President, after looking at studies from around the world and looking at how countries responded as far as contact workers are concerned, We believe that the contact tracing group in the Bahamas is a bit too small for the magnitude that is necessary to be able to contact those individuals who have probably been exposed and who require quarantine. You see, it's very important that once we find a case, we need a very strong and aggressive team, and we know that the Ministry of Health has that team, but the team needs to be much larger so that we can have that personal contact and individuals can be accessed and brought in for quarantine much more rapidly, because those individuals who are not brought into quarantine could potentially be asymptomatic carriers, and they can be the ones who could perpetuate or allow more community spread in our country. There's also an urgent need to expand testing and to ramp it up. I said earlier that in order to get a true statistical sample, I believe we should have a minimum of 1% of the population size. And so we're advocating for the Ministry of Health and the task force, the Ministry of Task Force, to ensure that we move quickly to at least have at least 4,000 people tested in our community. And then as we begin to make moves to open up the economy, we believe that should be ramped up to at least 10% of the general population. We understand that there is issues with test kits, but the Bahamas is having that issues. Some other of our Caribbean islands are basically gaining these tests, and they are moving swiftly in order to do the necessary tests in order to be able to plot the way forward for the opening up of our economy. We must also ramp up training, and we must also look at our public servant. Healthcare is now going to be a very important aspect on the way forward for building our economy. It's time now for the public service to begin to look at the workforce and begin to start processes to retrain individuals into other sectors of the economy, and one of those areas is healthcare. We believe that even when we get this virus under control, there's going to be a change in the way how we do things, and there's going to be ongoing assessments on a daily basis to determine exactly what is happening in our economy, our country, and to determine those individuals who are developing immunity to COVID-19, because as individuals develop immunity, it's important for our healthcare system to know who these individuals are, because they can be utilized in areas where they are not susceptible to infection. We must also move swiftly to secure at least one additional COVID-19 lab. Yes, we have a lab that is approved, but as we begin to ramp up our tests, the burden on that lab will become more significant, and we are advocating for the government to reach out to the private sector to find out if they can find one or two labs in the private sector area that would be willing to deal with the situation. That's good. But you see, this is the reason. Yes, fine, okay. Well, I heard. No, you don't have to stand up, AG. I heard my good cousin said that private labs are being considered. That's a good thing. But you know, I just found it out just now. If you would put it out in the public domain, that could relieve. Huh? Okay, well that's fine. Well, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it because he announced it a month ago, and I'm still waiting on it, you know? Madam President, before I take my seat. No, sir. Yeah, I don't have a conflict of interest. I don't have. Yes. Madam President, before I take my seat, I would like to say a few words on the current state of the Rand Memorial Hospital. The government and the Minister of Health should hang his head down in shame, because the people of Grand Bahama deserve better. And I know the AG agree with me. I say to the 4 ministers and the 5 MPs from Grand Bahama, where is your heart? Do you have a soul? After almost 1 year in a makeshift tent hospital, The Ron Memorial Hospital staff are demoralized. I want to say that again.
We almost drowned yesterday.
After almost 1 year in a makeshift tent hospital, the Ron Memorial staff are all demoralized. We have learned that there's multiple safety concerns for patients and staff, and that facility, and in case the Minister of Health and his team don't understand, patients and staff are highly upset and are now refusing to be subjected to this form of primitive healthcare. Now, I am a healthcare professional, but I must bring shame to this administration for the state of affairs at the Rand Memorial Hospital. For God's sake, not for Dr. Davil's sake, but for God's sake, stop dragging your feet with the renovations at the Rand Memorial Hospital. The hurricane season is upon us again. Please get our nurses, our doctors, our allied healthcare workers, and patients out of these compromised tents. It's been too long.
Point of information, Madam.
Finally, Madam President, point of information? It's a point of order or information.
Point of information, Madam.
I don't want to sit down for that. I'll leave.
Madam President, just want to encourage the public to go on to Dr. Sands, Minister Dr. Sands' page. He indicated yesterday that the situation with the storm, the severe storm that we had in Grand Bahama and also here in Nassau, he indicated that patients will be moved into the IAT building or the RMHER if weather persists. So I just want to update the Senator that the Minister has already made these steps, so we don't have to be beating this horse as it relates to make it look like he is not doing what he's calling for.
Thank you so much.
I'm being very respectful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being respectful, and I do apologize for my outburst. But I'm fully aware of that tweet by the Honorable Minister, and I want to say again that the renovation works at the Rand Memorial Hospital is not moving at the speed that it needs to move. We are calling on the Minister to make sure those contractors who are responsible for the renovations start doing the necessary work. We all saw as a result of that weather condition what happened to the Good Samaritan tents, and it is the right thing for the minister and healthcare professionals to move those patients and healthcare workers to a different location. I have no problem with that. That is the right thing to do, and the minister did the right thing. But that is not my point. My point is, please get our nurses, doctors, and allied healthcare staff workers out of these compromised tents and into a facility that gives them dignity. Finally, Madam President, as we continue to fight against COVID-19, I would like to take this opportunity once again to thank all healthcare workers and other essential workers throughout our country for their sacrifice, for their acts of kindness, and their patriotic spirit. I'm proud of them. I'm 100% behind them. And as a member of the opposition, when we get reports that are contrary to what is being said, I will continue to voice my opinion as it relates to conditions that I believe is inadequate for our healthcare workers. Madam President, may God keep us all during these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you. As many.
I said it.
The chair recognizes Senator Dorset. That's where you need to stay. You'd be so good. He's here now, so he needs to be in the right place.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'll be right back. I wish I could say that it gives me pleasure to stand here today in support of this resolution. But the truth is, Madam President, that I had hoped we would not have to come back today to do this. And I sometimes wonder if we truly understand the seriousness of the situation in which we find ourselves, not only us, but the entire world. And when I say we, I mean we as a country, all of us, not just those who are working actively in trying to control this pandemic. As has been said so many times by so many people, Madam President, we are fighting a war with an invisible enemy. And no one yet has developed the necessary weapons to enable us to fight this war effectively. When we look at other countries which are better positioned than we are to fight, and when we consider our small size and our resources, we realize that we have to depend on others to give us the primary weapons that we need to prevent this virus, and also a drug. Well, when I say the weapons, I mean the vaccine that we need to prevent the virus, and a drug that will help to fight it for those who have already contracted this coronavirus. And so, Madam President, we do what we can. We use the weapons that we have at our disposal currently, those being measures to manage the cases and to minimize the loss of life, and to present the spread to the extent that we can. That is why it is so important to take heed to the orders that have been given by the government. Stay at home, wear masks, employ proper hygiene methods and sanitation, social distancing, and the like. Madam President, I was very disturbed by some of the images that are being circulated on social media. It shows groups of persons who feel that it was fine since they're home, they're not working, they could just get together and party or engage in other kinds of what they might have seen as fun activities. And on top of that, of course, to make videos and let the whole world know what they're doing. I know that this lockdown, the curfew, it's difficult for all of us. For some of us, it's really quite boring. But this is not the way to combat that boredom, by pulling together your friends and drinking and partying and all that. And if we are bored, I suggest that there are many constructive ways we can find to fight that boredom. There are many things that we can find to do that would give us a sense of satisfaction and make the time go a little more quickly so that we don't feel so deprived. So, Madam President, I urge all of us to take these orders seriously and to comply strictly. I urge us all to do it to protect our own individual well-being and also that of other persons in the community. I think it would be very sad, Madam President, for any of us to wait until we're hooked up to a ventilator to finally see what the health professionals meant and what they were trying to achieve in asking us to observe the protocols. The higher the level of our compliance, the sooner we will be able to attain some semblance of normality, of whatever will become the new normal for us here in the Bahamas. And speaking of the new normal, Madam President, I think we can all appreciate the enormity of the task ahead of us as we move forward. The situation is difficult now, and I believe it will be equally difficult, if not more so, as we move beyond the immediate crisis and start to rebuild our lives. And let us not forget that the problem is further compounded by the fact that we're still dealing with the effects of Hurricane Dorian. And we're still trying to rebuild Abaco and Grand Bahama and restore those lives. And so that makes it even more difficult. I find some of the comments made on social media in response to the efforts of the government to be disconcerting and downright disrespectful. I would dare to say ungrateful. I mean, it's been so bad that even I've stopped reading them. So you see, Madam President, when you have persons who find fault with everything the government is doing around this crisis, and who complain, call names, but have nothing, cannot put forward one simple thing to help the situation. They can only criticize, no solution, no suggestion, or anything of the sort. When we find that, Madam President, I think the best thing we can do is to ignore them. And some of them we know when we see the names come up, we know where they're going, we know who they are, we know what their habits are, and we know where they're going with this. And I think we should just ignore it, don't even open it up, because these persons are part of the problem, they're not part of the solution. Much of what they say incites panic, hopelessness in people, and it makes this a bad situation even worse. And I want to thank those persons who have come forward with suggestions for consideration that could be helpful in getting us, that are moving us through this and getting us back up and running. Now, I see that the Prime Minister, if you watch the Parliament, the proceedings on the other place this morning, you would have heard the Prime Minister outline some measures that they're taking to try to bring back the economy and bring back our way of life, or whatever it will be going forward. And I'm sure that more details on this will be forthcoming as the government fine-tunes these measures. One of the challenges that we will face, and it's a big challenge that we face, it's a big challenge that we have now and that will continue. And that is not knowing how this will play out. That uncertainty will remain a factor in anything that we try to do going forward. And it will require us to shift gears here and there, change direction. And I hope that in response to the uncertainty and in response to the developments as they present themselves, and I hope that people will understand that if we're not flexible in this whole process, then we stand to lose a lot of ground. And we will continue to rely on the advice of our health care professionals. I want to take an opportunity to applaud our Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Dwayne Sands, and his team of medical experts and healthcare workers for the yeoman's job they're doing in addressing this situation. They take risks on a daily basis, risk to their own health, they're lost to their families while they're addressing this. It's a great sacrifice, and I don't think that we ought to forget it as they work to save lives and try to put a lid on this situation that we face. It is unfortunate, Madam President, that we have to continue the curfew and the lockdown for another month. But we must do what is necessary to protect ourselves through this crisis. We have seen what has happened to some other countries that have loosened the reins too soon and found themselves having a resurgence of this virus. And we don't want that to happen to us. Madam President, I heard my colleague on the other side just say that, and in the other place, say that 30 days is just too long. What I heard them say is that Parliament, it's too long for Parliament not to meet. Now, I stand to be corrected, but I was under the impression that even though we have extended the orders for 30 days, it doesn't prevent Parliament from meeting should it become necessary. And anything that happens in the meantime, I think that government has the flexibility to address it, even within that 30-day extension, and if necessary, to come back to Parliament. I don't believe that we come to Parliament really to discuss, we come to pass resolutions, to pass laws, but there are other avenues for the opposition to get information to the government and also to flesh out and discuss anything that we need to address this. So I don't think that the 30 days would make any difference, because the people who are working on this, Madam President, they are working every day and every night, 24/7, trying to contain this and to bring about every possible solution to avoid any kind of extreme fallout for us here in the country. So in closing, Madam President, I urge all of us to be compliant instead of being complainant and rebellious. Let us all do what we can to help us get through this as quickly as possible, with the least damage as possible, the least loss of lives as possible. And with that, Madam President, I stand to support the resolution, and I would urge all of us on both sides to do the same. Thank you, Madam President.
Most people don't know that. Sometimes it's looking. They'll ask me when I come back there, I'm actually looking at that category, you know.
Good afternoon, fellow senators, Madam President. It is indeed a pleasure to stand here today to address this resolution that is before us today. And Amit Ray says, the greatest compassion is the prevention of human suffering through patience, alertness, courage, and kindness. And this is something that we as a society need to practice, but we see it from some people on a daily basis, particularly
the professionals out there who are out there on the front line battling every day. I stand to speak to all citizens within the sound of my voice because I think it's important for me to speak to the citizens of this country to understand the importance of what we are going through as a country. Like I said before, COVID-19 does not travel on its own, and that's important. But it is carried by each and every one of us. Again, I implore every citizen to stay home, to follow the orders, stop the large gatherings, stop the joyriding, because I thought we didn't have any money, stop the parties, because I thought again that we say we broke, stop the games in the streets, stop the boat rides that has been happening, stop the selling of 30 days alcohol, and I'm sure all of us know what 30 days is. It's 30 days and 30 alcohol going on.
Please share, Dr. Dodson. Please share.
And you know, I think the police really need to do a better job in monitoring the East. Because this is where the hotspot is for COVID-19, particularly the side corners in the East. It's all fine and good to ride Chuni Street, but you will not truly see what is happening in those streets unless you drive through those streets. And I live in that area, and too many times I pass large gatherings with bars full of alcohol, you know, which is not good. And so I think this is something that we need to do. We need to monitor those areas, particularly that we know have the highest incidence of COVID in Nassau. For us as a country, to have 80 cases is too much for our population. It is just too much. 11 deaths, too much for us as a country. We have 792 persons in quarantine and 22 recovered cases. My citizens, my fellow Bahamians, that's really just too much for the little Bahamas. We shouldn't have those high numbers. When we look at countries comparable to us, like Barbados, you see them with 79 cases. Haiti. I mean, yeah. Haiti, which is larger than us at 74. Antigua and Barbuda, of comparable size, 24. Belize, comparable size, 18. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 15. The British Virgin Islands, 6. Anguilla, 3. Suriname, which is larger than us, 10.
I just spoke to the representative yesterday.
Turks and Caicos, 12.
No cases in Barbados.
That's right. St. Lucia, 15. Grenada, 18. Belize, 18. Whatever the number is, I just want to say that for the Bahamas, 80 is just simply too much. I first want to say, y'all two speaking, or y'all want me to be quiet? And you just as guilty.
No, I understand.
I can sit down to that.
Sorry.
And I just want to say that we could sit here in this place and in the House of Assembly and spend the entire day. And I mean, I was glad to get out of prison. And this is a change. Because I feel like a prisoner in my own home. We could just simply come here and pass laws. But the problem is, Bahamians, laws are meant to be followed. And the persons who need to follow those laws are each and every one of us. So we could pass those laws in this country and yet in these places today and go and leave. And unless every Bahamian follow the orders, we will continue to see our numbers rise. And so that's what I want to say today, and really why I even decided to speak, is to really ask and beg every Bahamian to consider your family, to consider your mother, your grandmother, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, and the impact that you being unsafe and having no regard for social distancing, having no regard for sanitizing your hands, your shoes, your clothes when you're out. When you go into this food store, you're not practicing social distancing. I'm saying you see it constantly. And I sometimes blame the people who own the stores as well. They have to also put some guidelines in place that will cause persons to practice. We're not used to this. We're not used to being distant as a country. We like to party. We like to hug up one another. We understand that. But with all things, change comes. And COVID-19 has come and it's caused us all to have a paradigm shift. We all now wearing masks. You understand me? We're wearing gloves. We're doing things that we don't normally do. When you go to the bank now, you can actually wear a mask. Come on. Before, they would have thought that you were coming there to rob. So, but you, of course, have to show your face before they let you in. But I just want to say... I just want to say to all Bahamians that please let us abide by these orders for the next 30 days so that we can see the numbers stay where they are, that we see the numbers not increase and the curve start to flatten as the Ministry of Health officials keep telling us when they come on and do their press conferences. But it is only through us taking this matter more seriously will this happen. I would still say, and I've always said, my suggestion has always been first have a 14-day complete shutdown. And I still support that. Because it still seems as if our persons, when they hear it's just, I could still go to the food store, I could still go to this place, they find every excuse to do those things just to be out. So that is my suggestion, and I think that that is something we may have to consider at some point if our numbers continue to increase. For Bahamians, if we would do what it is that we have to do, then we can see greater lasting of these restrictions that are being imposed on all of us. It is not until all of us buy in to what is being done. We're all simply wasting our times. I'm wasting my time standing here talking and speaking to you, and that's every Bahamian. No one is exempt. Buys into what is being said. It's simply that. And to stay home, if you don't have anywhere to go, wash your hands. All right? Practice social distancing. Stop driving up and down. Stop partying. I know if you could stop drinking, but curtail the amount that you drink if you have access to alcohol in your homes already. All right? So let us please try to simply control ourselves more and become more disciplined. Because we all know that we go to certain countries If we go to Singapore, we follow the rules in Singapore. That says you can't chew gum, you can't spit. When we go to the United States, those of us who like to ride around here don't like to wear a seatbelt. But when you go to the U.S., you quick to put that seatbelt on. But you know you ain't gonna get locked up. So why do we want to disobey the laws in this country, of our country, which is for our protection? It's something that everyone needs to think about. We need to get it together, Bahamians, and make a conscious decision that we want to get rid of COVID-19. And in doing so, all of us must do what it is that we have to do. And I've already said what that is. I wish to thank from the bottom of my heart the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Defense Force, the prison officers, the custom officers, the immigration officers, all healthcare professionals who every day, every hour, every minute, every second risk their lives for all of us. So too, let's think about them and their families and what it is that they're going through. I understand the challenge for all of them and their families as a registered nurse. And added to this fact is that I have a sister and I have a grandniece who are both healthcare professionals presently in quarantine, which did not have to happen. And it's even more distressing to hear that we have over 200 healthcare professionals in quarantine. Why? We need those persons to be functioning and working, not in quarantine. And if more of us continue to get COVID, then what? Who's going to take care of us? If all of us start to get COVID, what is going to happen to our hospitals? All of these things is we have to now think about. I just want to say that I support the suggestion made by Senator Henfield in reference to the Economic Recovery Committee. I too support that academia definitely should be a part of that committee, the Ministry of Education. Would like to see more women, persons with disabilities, Family Island representation, a representative from the National Congress of Trade Unions, Bahamas, who is the recognized voice of labor. Where was that? Mr. G? I could hear you. I hear very well with him. I'm going to do that. Can never go too far when you're talking about the economic recovery of our country. And it requires all of us, not just who we think is the brightest and the smartest. Because the brightest and the smartest are some of the dumbest. Because they are unable to think outside a box. And we need persons who can think outside a box and to be creative and innovative. And it's not necessarily the persons with doctorate degrees. All right? And young persons, those are some more people that I would like to see on the committee. Because those are our people who can think outside the box. I know that the committee is staffed with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Federation. A number of persons from that organization, more than one, is on that committee, is all I will say. And I just want to close by quoting James chapter 2, verses 10 through 26. And it says, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law, and yet offend in adultery, and yet offend one point, he is guilty of all." So So I'm just saying, if the whole law is put down for us to follow, and we like to say we are Christians, then let us follow the whole law. All right? Not some parts of it. For he said that do not commit adultery, said also do not kill. So on the one hand, how you can practice adultery and then say you're not going to kill. They're both sins. So that's what all of us need to understand. All right? We're both sins. Whether or not we like it or not. Now if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law. So speaking, and so do as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. For he shall have judgment without mercy, but hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have not works? They have not works. So what is the point in us being as a Christian nation saying that we have faith, but we're not prepared to do the things to support that faith? Can faith save him? Even so, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So we could speak it, we could pray for it, but if you don't get up and do it, ain't nobody gonna bring it to you. So I'm saying to all the Indians, I say to all the Indians, if you want something and we say we want to get rid of COVID-19, then all of us must do what it is that we have to do to get rid of it. And so I say to you and each and every one of you, let us work, let us do our works to ensure that COVID-19 is eradicated from the Bahamas. Thank you.
Madam President, well, thank you so much for acknowledging me today. I want to thank the Almighty God for allowing me to see this day and to celebrate it with you guys. I have no special birthday, just want to, God teaches us to give thanks every day. And I also want to thank the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, for allowing me to be here, proposing his confidence to stand here and to speak on behalf of the youth of this nation. And, Madam President, once again, I want to thank the Bahamian people, along with the residents living here, for their common agreement to obey the laws within this emergency powers. You have shown and are continuing to show every day that you are in this to win it. Over the past couple of weeks, we have seen an increase in the confirmed number of COVID-19 cases, which in some resulted in a few deaths, or in some deaths. This virus has brought headache, heartache, financial loss, sadness, mourning to households across Nassau, Bimini, and Grand Bahama. This virus has affected and attacked our cultural way of life. Jobs are being temporarily suspended. Bahamians can't travel. Bahamians can't go out physically to be with their families. Bahamians can't go out to their favorite sports. Bahamians can't even travel locally, and not even internationally. We are not used to this. We are not used to this. But in order for us to get back to our cultural norm, our cultural ways, we will have to adhere to the laws and the advice until we have a sure grip on this virus. My fellow Bahamians, this virus still is the biggest single challenge this country has faced since Hurricane Dorian. But we will recover. We will recover. But in order for us to recover and start the process of ending these lockdowns, it's for folks to listen and obey the laws and recommendations given by the experts. This is no time to play rogue. For those adhering to the advice from the experts, I want to send a special thank you for your forbearance, patience, self-control, restraint, tolerance, and your good sense for wanting to be safe and keep not just you, your family, your friends, but also our essential workers from getting the virus also. Your positive attitude in wanting and ensuring that our health officials continue to be motivated to step up during this unusual period is greatly appreciated. COVID-19, in my view, is like a thief in the night. It is lurking around in the invisible shadows, ready to hit the next victim. But it doesn't have to have the power to take me, you, your parents, kids, or friends. If we work together, collectively, to physically assault this assailant by continuing the social distancing, wearing our mask, washing our hands, etc., then we will show tremendous signs of wrestling and defeating this virus by bringing down the infection rate and putting the disease out of the Bahamas once and for all. Madam President, I support the extension not because of politics, but instead I want to ensure that the youth of this their country that I call home has a future that is worth living and fighting for. I support the resolution because it is the right and moral thing to do. And speaking about moral and right thing to do, I want to thank those who put themselves in the forefront to help fight the spread of this virus. I also want to thank the food store workers for coming to work to serve us, the Bahamian people. In my book, you too are a front-line worker. I also want to thank the garbage collectors, the farmers, and everyone else who played a major role in assisting us, the people. Jobs that was once mocked and ignored by some are being celebrated by many. And again, I say thank you. Madam President, I have seen on social media, and I share the sentiments of our Madam Vice President with respects to, I don't know if it was Obama's uncensored, but let me get back to what I was saying, right? But Madam President, like I said, I share the exact sentiments. But this is my speech, I didn't interrupt you. Like I was saying. Like I said, Madam President, I try to ignore, the good Senator across me, But like I said, Madam President, I share the views of Madam Vice President as she relates when she spoke about the commentary that's being made on social media. But I want to say to persons on social media who have said that why should we continue this lockdown when it's not working? you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a person with the doctorate degrees, the PhD degrees, or whatever, I say to them, have you been watching the news locally and internationally to see what's going on around other countries? They waited late to put measures in place, and they have been seeing death in the thousands and in some very high thousands. The Bahamas has done the opposite and instead put a major dent in the proposed numbers of infections and deaths. And for that, this country should see that positive strides that are being made, but more positive results can be achieved if everyone do their part in following the advice being given by the experts. Every one of us plays an important role in this being controlled and defeated. If you do the opposite, then you're putting yourselves, your children, your family, community, and country in danger. Again, it starts with you and ends with you. Madam President, the Bahamian people are resilient people with a unique spirit of resilience like no other. I want to commend those in the Family Islands for once again showing yourselves to be leaders of our dear nation in tough times. You have displayed through your actions and even on social media by ensuring that your borders are protected and those inland adhere to rules until this is all done. Again, I commend you. I believe in my people. I believe that if we all come together and use our good sense, and I say again, we come together and use our good sense and collectively fight to win this war on COVID-19 for the sake of our country, we will see better days going forward. Bahamians have shown over the years to stand up and take on individuals from other countries who will insult us. We go on social media, express our thoughts in a Bahamian way, and demand respect, which eventually we will win the argument, all because Bahamians stand up for the aquamarine, gold, and black till the very end. Well, I now say that patriotic collective spirit is needed, but instead fueled by optimism and energy to ensure that the Bahamian flag remains strong going forward. We need you to encourage your family and friends to stay home if they have no honest reason to be out. Following the rules will suppress, depress, and eradicate this virus out of the country into a realm of not coming back. I call on the youth of our nation to continue to do your part in fighting and putting an end to this virus. Peer pressure may be mounted during this time, but I encourage you to ignore those who may tempt you to do contrary. Your bold stance and commitment is valued, appreciated as we move forward towards a new and better Bahamas. Madam President, thank you.
The chair recognizes the leader of the opposition in this place, Senator Frederick Mitchell.
Boy, you give all my names today, Madam President. Thank you very much. I'm going to take this mask off, and I was thinking one of my favorite journalists was a woman named Oriana Fallaci. She's now dead, but she was interviewing the late Ayatollah Khomeini. And you know, in Iran, women have to be covered from head to toe. That's right, yeah, the burqa. So she asked him, she says, why do I have to wear this? You know, this costume is ridiculous. He says, well, you can take it off if you wish. She says, yeah, let me take this off. So she took it off and threw the thing down. So I'm being a bit more respectful. No, he did the interview. It was actually quite remarkable. One of the most remarkable instances, but interesting interview. Oriana Fallaci, that's a name. I want to move an amendment to this resolution. And the amendment is simply going to ask the government to agree to delete the words wherever they appear in the ultimate paragraph, the words 30th day of May 2020, and substitute them for the words 11th of May 2020. And this is in line, before I formally move it and ask for a seconder, this is in line with our thinking that Parliament needs to have the superintendence of this at more regular intervals. In the discussions we had below, we indicated that we felt that 30 days was simply too long, that the Parliament ought to exercise its right at more frequent intervals to review what the executive is doing. And so that is the reason for it. I think we are not arguing over methodology so much, although I'll come to some of the issues we have with execution of this. But our view is that we ought to give Parliament an opportunity to review this on a more frequent basis. So that will come. Madam President, I was interested when Senator Penfield was talking, and he said that, when you are, because of this order that's now been put in place, and the government has given landlords the edict or mandate that I think it's 40% off, and you get to defer the payments in 3 months, and so on and so forth, and that you, what he said was, you cannot be expelled without a court order. And if the landlord shows up, you must ignore him. That's all fine and good, but Paul Adley, the late Paul Adley, used to be Attorney General, once said he had a client, and the client asked for his advice. And his advice to the client was, that's not possible. You can't be arrested. You can't be taken to jail. He said, but the client said to him, but lawyer, I am in jail. I'm calling you from jail. And Adley says, no, you can't. I'm telling you, it's against the law. You can't be arrested. He says, but lawyer, I'm in jail. I'm in jail. I'm calling you from jail. So I'm sorry, but that ain't much comfort to tell these people, ignore the police, because the landlord will throw you out. Well, you could sue. You could do what you want. But if he wants his premises, he can take it back. That's the point I want to make. But the more serious point is for the Attorney General to explain, because a lot of people who are landlords have been saying, they looked at this, and I'm not sure, is it now in an order, or is this just part of the negotiations that the government made? This is now part of the order. No, okay, so this is a statement made by the Prime Minister that they've negotiated a situation. Yes, please.
Chair recognizes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Amendment Number 4 Regulations of 2021, we tabled today, the Governor General, His Excellency, signed this here, conferred upon the competent authority the power by order to defer the payment of rent by tenants, A, whose business has been closed, and B, whose employment has been terminated as a result of the state of public emergency. So either someone who's lost their business or who's lost their job. In respect of any of these two, the competent authority has the power to make an order. Now, what has happened is a framework has been announced in Parliament and circulated in documentary form over social media, but the order has not yet been perfected. And that is because we were waiting for the competent authority to work out all the bells and the whistles of the proposed plan. So sometime over the course of this week, an order will ultimately be settled to capture the specific mandates reflected in the program that was announced in the House of Assembly today.
So right now, it's not an order.
Right now,
It's not.
right now it's not an order, but within a matter of days it will be a formal order.
So it's a framework that's been announced. So the issue is, you will no doubt justify and explain how, and this arose with the insurance companies as well, how, under the terms of Article 29, you can, I'm using the word interfere, in a contractual relationship between two parties and actually stop them from collecting money which is owed to them, and then say that they have an obligation to carry out the terms of the contract, notwithstanding that the person has not paid.
It's very simple. The orders do not purport to deprive anybody absolutely of a contractual entitlement. It defers it. There's a difference, a fundamental difference. You're not saying that we are going to prevent you for the period of emergency from being able to not just to collect, but for any debt to accrue during the course of it. All it does is defers the ability to call in the debt for the period of the emergency, and then a period is provided in which the person can pay the debt or come to an acceptable arrangement as a matter of contract between himself and the party.
What is the recourse for a landlord who agrees to this or accepts that you have the legal right to do this? What is his recourse when this deferred agreement does not work? Is the government, and this is the point, is the government under Article 29 not ultimately responsible for making good the losses of the landlord?
I'm not prepared to offer legal opinions on prospective or hypotheticals, okay? While I understand the genuineness of the inquiry, that is not my job. I'm satisfied that the competent authority has the authority and the legal power under the emergency order to defer certain contractual obligations, not to strip anybody of a contractual right, but merely to defer the exercise of certain rights, having regard to the unfortunate position in which both landlords, tenants, insurance companies, people who are expected to pay insurance premiums while they don't have jobs, and the little salary that they have that would have paid the premium in part or most of it has to be devoted to something a little more fundamental, like eating and feeding your family. Yes, the authority has the power to defer. Thank you.
No, I understand that. But, it comes down to this. Our legal advisors say that ultimately the government under Article 29 is responsible for any loss to the landlord. Ultimately responsible. So the reason why I raise it is because there are obviously two ways you can tackle this. Either you can just give the cash payment, or you pick it up at the back end. And that's
on that point.
Yes, right.
The government does have an interest to have a rent support facility in which contributions are made to the contributors.
The government does have a program for rent support, okay? And so to a certain extent, steps have been taken to seek to ameliorate what we saw would be a problem. I think the difficulty goes somewhere between the area captured by the Rent Support Initiative of National Insurance and higher rents. And I note that the Prime Minister did set in his communication a upper limit of $2,000 per month. Well, obviously, somebody capable of paying $2,000 a month wouldn't obviously require rent support from National Insurance.
Well, I've just had the recent experience with this rental support. The rental support is limited by the announcement of social services to $1,800 per year. The problem with both national insurance now and social services is that the bureaucracy is so bogged down that it's taking so long for people to get paid. In the meantime, pressures are building up. And then let's go one step further with regard to this. You're also saying in the framework, as I understand it, that the banks have also agreed to accept deferred payments from the landlords. And does that affect the interest which landlords will have to pay on mortgages? You see, because all of the packages which the banks have offered to people, they all say, oh, you don't have to pay. I think one bank called me and said, oh, you can opt out. But the interest continues to accrue.
Well, you
interest
know,
continues to accrue.
I understand, but I mean...
I'm sorry, give me a second. Give me a second.
Yeah, okay,
Please.
okay.
Yeah, give me a second. The reason I say it is because remember when we've had the first debate on this matter, our view was that the government ought to devise an omnibus method to put a pause on everything.
You don't have almost money.
Well, you know, government has means to get money. And you either pay now or you pay at the back end. Yeah, of course, you can do it. You can do it if you wish. Yes, I'm sorry, you wanted to say.
No, it is always interesting to hear the boundless optimism of opposition. And I know, were I sitting in the seat that you're sitting in, sir, I'd be saying the same things you'd be saying. And were you sitting in this seat, you'd be saying the same things that I'm saying. Because in this seat, we have to actually make sure that when we write the check, it can cash. That's our duty. So while we are doing everything in our power to extend support, assistance to those most in need, we can only do so in a way that doesn't sink the whole ship, meaning the whole entirety of the financial system of the Bahamas. And so we cannot write checks that cannot cash. Okay? And we can only do so in a prudential manner. There are perils when, and I heard the point about the bureaucracy, and I agree, the frustrations can be enormous. Okay? Particularly for persons less well educationally equipped than, for example, a trained attorney such as yourself. You're dealing with humble people, ordinary people, suddenly confronted with a barrage of requests. I need this document, I need that document. These are, pulling up, I've been making my contributions to national insurance all these years now. You tell me I'm trying to get some help, and all of a sudden I got to come and find the birth certificate of my great-great-grandma, that sort of thing. I understand that, but there's a balance to be struck, as I always say, between prudence and rashness. And perhaps we are too prudent, and we could loosen up, and I'll urge the minister to look at simplifying matters, okay? Thanks.
I'm getting to the point, therefore, by going through all of this.
Can I just move the resolution?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure.
I did need, say something. I suppose there's so much said that I don't think we can move the resolution that the business session will be on 7.
I beg leave now to move the resolution that the business of the Senate do continue beyond 7 p.m. This evening, the 27th day of April, 2020, Monday.
Madam President, I rise a second.
It has been moved and seconded that the business of the Senate go extend beyond 7 p.m. April 27th, 2020. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Nay. The ayes have it.
7 p.m.
The Senate extends beyond 7. Thank you. Senator Mitchell?
Yes, as I was saying, the reason I was going through this is because what is happening over these last weeks. And I hear, and maybe this is coming to be a philosophical difference between us. We believe quite firmly, and that the Bahamas is a country for the consent of the governed. It is not a country of coercion. And much as we would like to drag people kicking and screaming behind medicine which is good for them, the public will only go with you so far. You've heard the expression, 50,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. So if 50,000 Bahamians say, we are not following these orders, what are you going to do? Lock them all up? Where are you going to put them? Where? Which jail? Which space? To hold who? So you have to bring the population along with you. And I'm deploring, I'm using that word, or urging you to reconsider this thing of coming down on people's heads all the time about this or the next penalty. The public is looking at things like double standards. The stories that you see, and we raised this here before. You have someone who stepped out of his yard, 71 years of age, steps out of his yard. It happens to be a Saturday. He's arrested by the police because you're not supposed to be exercising outside your yard on a weekend, on the lockdown days, and he ends up getting a $400 fine. Are you kidding? And then, so when the authority, we've raised this many times, when we say in places like this, and I heard what the Attorney General said the last time, the magistrates, however, take a cue from the executive and the legislature about what they're doing. So now I've heard, I didn't see it come up here today, that there's some penalty now of $20,000 for something?
I can say that. Yeah, you want to?
Well, let me finish the point, but the $20,000. So when you start sending out a sign of increased penalties, the magistrate says, aha, those opposition people are talking foolishness.
Can I clarify that?
You know?
I can clarify that. Yes, that is one of the orders that I intended to just read that part out in conclusion, but I can go to it now. It deals with the situation where somebody has been placed in actual quarantine because they've been informed that they are COVID positive. Sorry. The unfortunate is an unfortunate circumstance, but if somebody has been informed that they are COVID positive and given a quarantine card and placed in quarantine, told to go and self-quarantine, and if that person, being fully aware that they are COVID positive, have been placed in quarantine, leaves the place of quarantine, and goes to a public place where there is every likelihood that they could infect others merely by breathing. That's another developing thing that wasn't known. It wasn't known. Just by being there, yeah, unfortunately, we don't even know how. All I can tell you is this, as I said, the knowledge of this thing is a day-to-day thing. It moves that quickly. And when it started, no one believed that they thought you had to cough or sneeze. And then the Japanese did some spectral analysis and they realized that just breathing. And then the latest, I think, was Johns Hopkins, did a further analysis that just saying the words, be healthy, because the aspiration and the inherent pushing out of the in healthy, that spreads droplets just in speaking without shouting up to 6 feet away. So there was a circumstance last week where a person placed in quarantine with a quarantine card, being fully aware that they were COVID positive, along with their spouse, drove to a utility service provider. He went in to pay whatever. Somebody recognized him. Somebody knew what the situation was, looked out, and there was the patient in the car. That is the story that I've heard. I've heard a slight different variation, but I know that immediately thereafter, either the person who was in quarantine actually entered the building, That's the second variation. I'm not the police, and I didn't check into the facts of it. All I know is that the building was immediately, they found out that there was this issue of someone who was COVID positive and in contact with others or potential contact. They shut down the whole place, had to sanitize the whole building, and of course everybody who would have been in contact either with that person or with the person who was in direct contact with that person, depending on which story is the accurate one, would immediately have to themselves be placed in some kind of voluntary quarantine, should they be, and to see whether they start to show any symptoms. The penalties that you complain about are not unknown to Bahamian law. During the HIV period, during that period when HIV was highly contagious based on conduct, but there was no known cure, and there still is no known cure, but there are therapeutic treatments that basically have made it a manageable chronic illness, rather like a diabetes, as opposed to what it was at the time. At the time that HIV first came to the fore, it was a death sentence or virtual death sentence. And at that time, under the Ingram administration, I think it was, we passed a law that anybody who, knowing that they had contracted the HIV virus, who knowingly had unprotected sex with another person, just anybody else, would be liable on conviction to a maximum of 20 years imprisonment or a fine of $5,000. So we didn't invent a wheel here, nor did we reinvent one. We simply took the penalties in that section of the law that was passed at the beginning, at the height of the HIV crisis in the 80s and early 90s, and we brought that into, applied that to COVID.
Right. Okay. I happened to be around during that time period as well, and I disagreed with that as well, because I can't see what the value of that would be. But the point I'm making is, once you, no, I'm saying in terms of what sentencing is supposed to do in terms of being a deterrent, it doesn't deter at all. It doesn't even think about it. And so what I'm saying now is, in this present situation, you're sending out a signal to the people who are in the courts that the way they've been dealing with these cases that have come to them before, and I mean, you've seen them every day piling up, this case, the next case, too. I wondered, some people were going out to they said they were going out to Kentucky Fried Chicken or something. I don't know what the reason was. 4 people in a car.
I'd like to make a point. I think that may I suggest that that's a different point than to making a point about the sentencing under the existing penalty system is a different thing from criticizing something that is meant to be a specific deterrent to specific misconduct. Now, if you want to look at the generality of it, I could agree across the table with you that perhaps it might be helpful if the Chief Justice were to give some guidelines, because some of the matters do appear to be very minor infringements, and yet there seems to be a standard of 400 to 600.
So I'm saying, in this atmosphere, let me stick to my point. I'm saying, in this atmosphere, the magistrates, the courts look to the legislature and the executive to see what is the policy behind this. Yeah, they do. And so when you then toughen things, they say, aha, that sends out a signal that we are being correct. And I'm saying, as one legislator, let me leave you out of it. As one legislator, I'm saying that I believe that this is disproportionate. The penalty is disproportionately being applied to people who have no resources to pay. And the irony is, if they are COVID-19 positive, where are they going to end up? In the prison? That's where you're going to put them, because they can't pay? And then what? A facility where there are already complaints that is an issue? So it just seems like we're cutting off. Yeah, maybe cutting off our nose to spite our face. Yeah, but I'm arguing that your deterrent is actually public education. That's your deterrent. No, I'm not. No, I would never go in that direction. I'm arguing that your deterrent is public education, and I don't think you've given that a chance. I don't think you've given that a chance. And I also think that it is unfair to put the police in a position where they're the ones at the front line who are applying pressure all the time on people before something unfortunate happens. I mean, I looked at these long lines tailing back on the streets the other day. And what are they doing? They're checking to see, do you have some government ID on you? What is that about? I understand again, but you know what they said about the law. You know what they said about the law, which I won't repeat now. I won't repeat. So the point is, all of this comes to the reason why we're saying it's necessary, because none of this would have come out had we not been in this Parliament today and you fulsomely explaining what the government's rationale is behind this. So the public position is elucidated because Parliament meets and Parliament causes the executive to account. And so that is why we are moving the direction here. Now, I want to say, I talked about double standards, and today is Black Tuesday. No, but the Black Tuesday has nothing to do with white or black. Black Tuesday, I think, was coined, I believe, the former the senator's father, as a progressive liberal party writer, was the person responsible for coining the phrase Black Tuesday on the day it happened 55 years ago. No, not me. I was a little boy, so I watched it, from the newspapers. But I'm talking about your brother-in-law's father, right, who was responsible. Oh, your father-in-law. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I forgot. All in the family. Well, well, I mean, I don't know. No, I don't know why you would want to correct me. In the Bahamas, they say my mother's sister, Adi Child, and you know exactly what they mean, right? Okay, so don't trouble me about that. But this question of double standards. Now, leader of the opposition, Madam President, just got thrown out of the House because he, infraction of the rules or whatever. We just saw it on television. There's a value in knowing history. And there's a man named Sir Clifford Darling, who was the Speaker of the House. And I watched how every time the opposition pressed him and pressed him and pressed him, and sometimes there was real disorder in the House, he was meticulous in avoiding ever throwing anyone out of the House of Assembly. You know why? Because the Progressive Liberal Party came up through a system where their members were thrown out of the House for so-called these rules, the rules. So he went out of his way to ensure that on his watch, that never became a part of his history. Yeah. Yes, he did.
But he did explain.
Yes, fine, that's fine, it's fine, but he was meticulous in that. So what I'm saying is that how could the government sit by and allow, on the very day when the blow for freedom was struck in 1965, you throw the leader of the opposition out of the House? How do you do that? How do you do that? Amazing, just amazing. This story about those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. It's like my talking to some of my friends on the Royal Bahamas Police Force. I said, you must have known, they must have known, that if you bring Jonathan Ash without handcuffs on, that people were going to be making a fuss about a double standard. Why would you allow the force to get in such a position? Why would you do that? Knowing what was coming up. And then on the same day, you have some fellas, 4 of them who are playing, according to the press, I understand there's a backstory, but according to the press, 4 fellas playing dominoes come in shackles because they violated the curfew. I mean, can you believe this? Why would the government want to get itself in this? That's why I'm talking about this view of sentencing and the way people are being treated. And the problem is there is pressure building up on this. And I'm saying to the government, you have to bring the public along with you. I know it's for their good and so on and so you can preach till thy kingdom come. The people have to be with you. If they're not with you, it's not going to succeed. You got to bring them along. And if you apply too much pressure, there's going to be pushback. I beg you, as the Jamaicans say, I beg you, listen. You know, life in a bubble is sweet. You know, life in a bubble is sweet, but you must listen. You must listen on this. You cannot push the population too far. And the government is in danger of moving into a credibility deficit on this because it's invisible and because people can't see. You know, so all the more. I described it to someone when I was on a radio program this morning. I described it to someone like when your ma used to look at you and say, don't let me have to come over there. She didn't have to whack you. She just had to say, you know, just look. Right. Exactly. So this is how we have to deal with our people. You know, not everybody gets this. Not everybody gets this. Plus, I was talking to one of my friends who has some homes in the park, and he was telling me in these two homes, you have 10 people living in each home. 2 bedrooms, two bedrooms, 10 people. So the place is cheek and jowl, packed. So where are they going to go? What social distancing are they going to practice? Which yard are they going to stay in to exercise? The senator here said she's happy to get the heck out of her house and come here. So you can imagine, and I know she probably live in a big house. You know? So that's my point. And, you know, I think that in terms of the finances of the country, we've had a team looking at this. And, you know, Chester Cooper has a team working with him trying to make recommendations to the government. And our feeling is that you have not exercised sufficient monetary policy. You keep looking at the fiscal side, but there's a lot of space, we think, on the monetary side to deal with this, which will give you, in the short term, the same way you were talking about deferring people's rents. You can use the monetary system to kick things down the road. And let me tell you about my optimism with regard to this. Just before I was born, in 1953, there was a polio outbreak in the Bahamas. And all these things that you're doing now, when you go back to the newspapers, you see them all there. They invented a vaccine, I guess, sometime in the 50s, 1950, something like that, in the 50s. But when I came up as a child, the thing everybody was frightened about when summertime came was that you were going to get polio. It was in fact called infantile paralysis because it used to hit children. Who remembers that anymore? These youngsters today are healthy as oxes. Why? They don't get whooping cough, they don't get smallpox, they don't get polio, they don't get measles, they don't get mumps, because there are vaccinations available to stop it. They probably don't even know the history of it, to the point where measles came much later, right? Measles came much later. But the fact is they have whooping cough is gone. Lockjaw is gone. There's no tetanus. All of that has come since I was a child. So we have a healthier population. But who remembers it? Who remembers it? They say one of the things, the flu epidemic in the First World War that killed 50 million people around the world, 500,000 of them in the U.S. And the cultural memory, the collective memory, no one remembers it. So my view is that in 3 years' time, chances are no one remembers this. The fact is, though, we have to keep our rational minds during this and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. As one reporter put it in South Africa, there's a fight between life and livelihood. Life and livelihood. But to tell someone who has no food and no money that they must wait because some invisible agent is going to attack them 14 days down the road, that does not add up to them. And that we have to understand. So that's why we're offering the particular amendment that we are. I too want to join with my colleague and all colleagues on both sides to say thank you to all of the service workers, EMS, they keep saying that they're left out, the prison officers, defense, police, the nurses, the doctors, all doing a great job. And we appreciate the service that you are performing. And anything we can do to support the work that they do so that we continue to have a healthy population, Progressive Liberal Party will support that. And with that, I will move that amendment, if I can have a second.
Yeah, I'll just wrap up and then you can.
No, I have to move the amendment. Yeah, it's in writing. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to the chair right now because the chair has to deal with it. Of course, the standard operating procedure would be is that the amendment will be put first for a vote. But let me just, first of all, wrap up and congratulate colleagues on the quality of their presentations. And I certainly heard what the leader opposite had to say. Yeah, I know. No, I thought we just take all the votes one time. Yeah, so what? You want us to vote on this first, right now? I thought we vote by the vote. Okay, fine, move the amendment then.
It has been moved to seconded that whatever the word 30th day of May 2020 appears.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's what I was reading. The amendment to the resolution has been moved and seconded by the leader of the side opposite, that wherever the words 30th day of May 2020 appear in the ultimate paragraph of the resolution, delete these words and replace them with the words the 11th of May 2020. All those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The nays have it. The resolution is, the amended to the resolution is defeated.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me say that it's unfortunate that there had to be a division on this issue. Really, the worst thing that can happen in terms of seeking to marshal the strength of the nation to confront an enemy is for us to be a nation divided unto itself. And so I do regret that there is a parting of ways on this issue between the governing side and the opposition. I noted that members of the opposition in the other place intended to abstain. I presume that is what members opposite will do in here, which is fine. But I do regret that there is this difference of opinion. That being said, I'm satisfied that if there is a perception with regard to the sentencing policy, certainly all the government did in terms of the laws is set a maximum of. clearly it was not the intention of the government to signal by the words a maximum of that people should be getting the maximum of anything except in the most extreme cases. And so if it's a question of sentencing policy or guidelines, that is something that perhaps should be referred to the Chief Justice, and he can determine the sorts of breaches, etc. I can't speak for any other agency and how they do their work. I do join you in commending the police by and large for their heroism in the face of this crisis, because like our medical professionals, they are in direct contact with the general public. There's not any way for any policeman to know the health status of anybody he comes in contact with. Yet they fearlessly will wade into even the most madding of crowds, and we've seen it. It's been a subject of criticism in here. Well, I would not join in that criticism. I have to thank the police and praise them for their heroism that they display. And, to think about it, that every night they're out there on those roundabouts, during the lockup, the defense force as well. I thank them. I thank the EMTs who would have theoretically come within general health services, people I mentioned, but they also like to get special recognition because actually they also are in direct contact with whoever puts in an emergency call. So I'd like to thank them again on behalf of the government and the people of the Bahamas for the outstanding service that they render. And yes, in time of emergency, we do rely upon our armed forces as the ultimate guarantor of civil order, because these are stressful times and things can occur. Nobody gets it all right. I personally, I would have erred a long time ago and had a full 14-day lockdown and have the defense force riding around in trucks with sacks of food and say, listen, how many people live here? Okay, that's 2 bags of food for you all. And every 2 days, come and do the same thing. Stop at every house in your depressed communities. You know where they are. We know which parts of Fox Hill would fall into that. We know which parts of Seabreeze, for example. We know which parts of Angleton, well, all of Angleton, perhaps, most of Angleton, not all. There's some pretty well-off parts in Angleton. And then if you go over the hill, we know the areas. Even in Chippenham, you know the areas of Chippenham where there is that. So, we could have gone about it that way, but, the balanced approach of trying to reconcile opposites and not totally kill business, it has its benefits and it has its detriments. And one detriment it has is that it doesn't give you that clear certainty that nothing move over this period long enough to cover the average incubation period so that you have a very, very clear picture of where you are. But fortunately, whether you like the balanced approach of the government or not, we have the report of Dr. Davis, which clearly shows, and even he in his report acknowledges, that this virus is in phases almost, and that having done a report about the initial surge phase, he acknowledges in his report that further discrete or specialized inquiries into different outbreaks or aspects as part of a wider analysis of what is needed going forward as we get into a more, I suppose, matured phase where you have clearly spots where there are embedded issues with the virus, embedded community aspects, and so the models will have to be developed going forward. But it's certainly in the models of what the stage was from the day of the first infection and looking at the rate of infection prior to the imposition of the 24-hour curfew, first of all, and then the later lockdown measures over the Easter holiday. It clearly shows that based on the initial rate of infection and the projections that can be drawn from there with the exponential nature of the infection, which is a critical aspect, that it was predicted that by day 27 you'd have 100 cases or something. As a result of the intervention of the government with these measures that, yes, I agree, people don't see the immediate benefit. But with these measures, it shows clearly that upwards of 47, 48 people, lives were saved. Based on the projection, they would have gotten COVID, and out of them, roughly 10% would not be here anymore. So, at the end of the day, there have been measurable benefits from these measures. The balanced approach of the government, it may have been even more measurable if it had been the harsher approach. It just say lock everything down, I'd say for 21 days and feed the people. But, it may have, by being a more vigorous tackling of it, one less understanding of the needs of business and all of that, it may have been, if you get an infection, cut it off, cauterize it, and call that a day. Or you could try the antibiotic thing, and it takes a little longer. At the end of the day, you'll probably reach the same result of having healing and a stopping of the infection in that finger getting into the rest of your body. But there are two ways to do it. One, you could cut it off and cauterize it. That's a quick way, very much more harmful and aggressive in the long run. You end up with 3 fingers instead of 4 on one thumb, but you've stopped the contagion getting into the rest of the body. Or you take more time and you put your little salve and your antibiotic on it, you clean it, and it takes a couple more extra weeks. But at the end of the day, you save the finger. So it's a question of what you want to do. When confronted with the situation, the government opted on a more balanced approach, so it may take a little longer. But certainly on the epidemiological analysis, having regard to the actual amount of cases that actually came out and the apparent bending of the rate of infection that occurred in the country up to that point, the point of the analysis, clearly there were benefits from the imposition of the regime, even though it's a mixed regime, combining total lockdown and restrictions and curfews. So the facts are in the figures, but plainly, as we move on now with a more complex situation, firstly, in the Family Islands, the idea is to keep all transport to an absolute, only to essentials wherever possible. Only to essentials. And other than that, to keep islands as hermetically sealed within their own boundaries as possible. That's the first strategy. And over time, to open them up a lot quicker if you keep that seal. Because if there's no contagion in the island, then the island can basically get back to normal quicker. So that's the strategy. Where there are islands where there are outbreaks, New Providence, Bimini, Grand Bahama, different strategies have to be employed, perhaps. And so a more measured view may well be justified in circumstances. The government's overall strategy may well have been the appropriate one in the circumstances because of where we are. All we know, sir, and for Bahamian, to my Bahamian brothers and sisters, is we're doing the best we can for you. We would urge you to do the best you can for yourself. Yes, everybody getting cabin fever, right? And just to go outside sometimes, I've never enjoyed exercising so much in my entire life. I have found that during the lockdown hours, my yard has so many hidden mysteries that I can walk around the boundary of it 10 and 20 times and never be bored. That is something that is inconceivable to me before. And during the curfew hours, man, I feel like a new person as I'm back to my walking regime, and then I start to mix it up and run as much as I can, and then I slow down, stop, walk some more, and so I'm finding a whole new I don't know, dimension, rediscovering it. And so,
Do you intend to relay Dr. Davis's report?
It's been circulated. It's not been given to me as a layable document. I'm not sure that it was even laid in the other place. Had it been laid, it would have been brought here, I think, by way of a message for us to lay, or at least for us to lay. It would come from Cabinet Office. I'll consult with my colleagues and we'll see the extent, because it was quoted in the other place. Yes. Well, I would certainly see, hey, man, you could talk the same language as the Minister of Health, you know. I must commend you, you know. I must say that you've come into your own on health matters in opposition. I must commend you. So you call your colleague and speak to him, Dr. Talk. I'm sure he'll give you a copy of it. Dr. Talk. Yeah. Yes. So on those notes, Madam President, I would now move that the substantive question now be put, which is that this House, the Senate, would agree to the following resolution: whereas, pursuant to Article 29(1) of the Constitution, the Governor General made a proclamation of emergency, hereafter called the proclamation, dated the 17th day of March 2020, declaring a state of public emergency existing in the Bahamas. Now therefore be resolved that this House, A, approves the continuance of the proclamation made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. B, affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Regulations 2020 made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Power COVID-19 No. 2 Order 2020 made on the 23rd day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. D, affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID Special Provisions Order made 2020 made on the 30th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. If I may obtain a second, I think I have already. I ask that the question now be put.
Madam President, I rise second.
That's what he said. Very good. Then you wait and say. Well, that's good. You carried it.
You don't read it again? Okay. The question has been put, seconded, and debated. Now, therefore, be it resolved that these chambers approve the continuance of the proclamation made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Regulations 2020 made on the 17th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 No. 2 Order 2020 made on the 23rd day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May 2020. Affirms the continuance in effect of the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Special Provisions Order 2020 made on the 30th day of March 2020 until the 30th day of May. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Abstentions?
Abstentions? 2. The ayes have it. The resolution is passed.
Sorry. Madam President, with your indulgence, I don't want to ask for a recorded vote, but I wish in the minutes would simply reflect that we did abstain, the two opposition members. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Madam, just to give, we will move to the end and then we will adjourn. Has the House adjourned to a fixed date?
I think they did, it was...
Well, I'll ask the clock. I'll find it from the clock.
Yeah, it was a 20-something.
29? 27.
Okay, discharge of select committees, notice for future meetings, orders for clerks, adjournment. Oh, you have a note. Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
of course.
Sorry.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I beg leave to move that that all items on the agenda in the name of the government be carried forward.
Senator Mitchell.
Yes, I'd like to renew all notices standing in the name of the opposition, please.
Thank you. Notice for future meetings. Oh, orders for clerk. Adjournment.
Thank you, Madam President. I beg leave now to move that the Senate be adjourned, on its rising, be adjourned to Wednesday, the 23rd day of May.
23rd or 27th?
27th day, sorry.
Yeah.
27th day of May, 2020, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. If I may obtain a seconder. We're going to meet the same day, huh? Oh, that's a budget?
That's
No.
what he said this morning.
It can't be, let me explain. It may be budget.
In the presentation, not the discussion, not the debate. Just the presentation.
I understand, that's a budget.
You still got to pass the resolution.
You have to pass, you may have a resolution, so just in case we have a resolution, what will happen is that you'll have the budget communication and you will have the tabling of the documents. So it may be a convenient time for us to receive the documents, which will be rather earlier than usual, and then at the same time be in a position, if a further resolution is required, to pass it the same day. Thank you.
By that time, I'd be finished my Clorox treatments.
It has been moved and seconded that the Senate, on its rising, adjourned to Wednesday, the 27th of May, 2020, at 3 p.m. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The Senate is...
Can you take us?
The ayes have it. Madam Chair, I now beg leave to move that the Senate be now adjourned.
The Senate is now adjourned.